Okay, we're now going to do the second example that's on page 70 in your notebook. So we have the first one all done. Here is your second example. So we're going to follow the exact same steps. We're going to first make sure that this is in standard form with everything equal to 0. So obviously it doesn't matter which side you move things to, but if we move this over here, we could just move one term. So if we add n squared to both sides, so on this side, we're going to add it to the 8n squared. Oopsie. Okay, having some technical difficulties. Plus n squared on this side. So that's a invisible 1n squared. So we have 9n squared plus 4n minus 16 equals 0. So we have highest powers first. We have n to the second, n to the first, and then n to the 0. No n at all equals 0. So we are in standard form, so we can identify A, B, and C. So A is 9, B is 4, and C is negative 16. So we only have one more thing to do. We have to plug that into our formula. So I'm going to go ahead and write the formula down here. We have x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. So remember, just like the last example, we're going to put everything that we're substituting in parentheses. That way, the calculator will calculate correctly for us. So subbing in our numbers, we have a negative. In parentheses, we have 4 plus or minus square root. We need b squared, so that's 4 to the second power, minus 4 is part of the formula, times a is 9, times c is negative 16, all divided by 2 times a, which is 9. Just like last time, you could enter everything under the radical carefully into your calculator. Whenever you have this many keystrokes, you should always enter it twice just to make sure. So you can pause the video, go ahead and enter that in your calculator. Okay, inside there, you should have gotten 592. If you did not get 592, pause the video and ask some questions. You can take a look at your calculator. So, cleaning this up a little bit, we have out front here just negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 592, all divided by 2 times 9, which is 18. So just like last time, we're going to put the square root of 592 in our calculator. And when you do that, you should notice that it does not come out as a pretty number. Whenever it does not come out as a pretty number, then we're going to have to simplify the radical. So I'm going to go ahead underneath. We're going to simplify this radical, 592 off to the side. So I'm going to scroll down so I have a little bit of space, and I'm going to write 592. I'm going to simplify 592. So remember the strategies we used when we did our square roots on our foldable? So we think of the biggest perfect square that goes into 592. And we will see that that perfect biggest one, remember, start with a 1. Well, you can make your list of 1. Then 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. You can make your list. Now remember, you want to find the biggest one that divides into 592 evenly. And we will see that that is actually 16 times 37. So 16 is the biggest square root that goes into 592. So we use 16 because 16 is a perfect square. What is the square root of 16? It's just 4. So we have 4 radical 37. 37 cannot be broken anymore. So the square root of 592 simplifies to 4 radical 37. So we're going to use that up in the top here. Okay, so continuing on, we have negative 4 plus or minus 4 radical 37 divided by 18. Now, the only thing we could do with this is, since we have, let me circle this, and we have these are, if we look at those three, we have, looking at the whole number part of it, we have a negative 4, a 4, and an 18. If you think about the 4, the negative 4, and the 18, you will realize that 2 goes into each one of those evenly. So we can simplify this a little bit further by dividing 2 into each one of those. So we can divide a 2 into that and get a negative 2. We can divide a 2 into that and get a 2, and a 2 into that and get a 9. Now we don't divide it into the 37 because 37 is just part of that 4 radical 37, and 37 is not really 37. It's like 6 point something if you go ahead and take that square root. So as much as we can do here is negative 2 plus or minus 2 radical 37, all divided by 9. We really can't do anything else. If you wanted to write that as 2 separate solutions, if you want to write it as 2 separate solutions, one with the plus and one with the minus, it would look like negative 2 plus 2 radical 37 over 9. And the second solution would be negative 2 minus 2 radical 37 over 9. And those are our 2 solutions.